strong Moya Nidalee games where he's just the epitome of aggression from level 1 onwards, and the next band's coming out.
Yeah, there's the Azir. Didn't expect that one, but it's hard to not after a game like that. And Fizz again. So in a best of 5 series, target bans do tend to come out when you feel like, hey, he picked a champion that we can't play again, but that leaves Gragas open, which is probably going to be the first pick for Fortnite here.
Yeah, that leaves Gragas open, one that has been banned in prior games by even Fortnite, I believe. And they haven't opted for the Janna this time, which is different, but they're going to go for the strong champion of Gragas. Azir being banned away, I had this conversation earlier, is that every best of 5 that you play starts to go from a standard meta based off banning strong champions to its own individual meta where you then ban based off the games prior. And we see Fizz had an impact in game 2, ban Fizz away. Azir had an impact in game 3, get rid of Azir. Yeah,
great calls from these teams banning stuff that they just can't deal with. And the Urgot that we saw earlier is going to be coming back along with Thresh.
Yes, strong game 1 showing was the Urgot combo, and why not pick it again? You know, play to his strengths. We just mentioned it, and now he's locked in that Urgot, and I'm excited again. Urgot is so fun to watch.
Urgot a great champion now with the addition of additional mana fueling his shield. The tier just being the perfect item for him, along with the Frozen Heart they seem to be opting for.
Yeah.
And hovering over Janna and Tristana.
I'm not going to be surprised if Janna's locked in, that's for certain.
Yeah, of course.
The Tristana is one that we wouldn't see very often, in fact.
I haven't seen a Tristana in competitive play since the rework, if my memory is correct, well, of my personal experiences.
I've seen a couple double lifts at best. I think that's the furthest I've actually seen Tristana be played in competitive. So we'll see what they decide to do there. But Tristana's a hyper carry. The meta has shifted towards hyper carry ADs.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the Trist is, but never mind.
I know. I love that stuff when we get all hyped up on this pick and then Sivir at the last 10 seconds. So Janna Sivir back again in that bot lane. A recipe for success, maybe?
Yeah, and a recipe for disengage. We have a look at the team of Fortnite. They've got Gragas, they've got Janna, and they've got Sivir. If there's one thing that all 3 of those heroes can do, it's disengage. I don't know what they're going to pick as their next 2, but I would suggest some engage.
Yeah, hopefully, because one Gragas ulti can be enough to win a fight or to save the other team. So it's going to be really key to see if they can match this aggression and their disengage and have the levels kind of correct here.
Yeah, all it takes is one small mistake from the Gragas or a flash even used from Sin here, and the Gragas is going to knock them all to safety, and what was a good team fight or a good engage is now a bad one. So maybe a more reliable engage from the top laner, and I believe the mid is left open, so there's still definitely options for engage. Orianna, definitely still available here, and it's one of Moya's favorite champions. Yeah,
Orianna, a really great pick. Not sure if we'll see it here as Vi and Maokai are locked in again, so really showing that he wants to play Vi.
Yeah, and he loves his Cinderhulk Vi apparently, so he's going to go back to Vi. He's going to stay with what worked, do something more comfortable. He definitely plays a lot of Vi. He knows what he's doing when it comes to being that champion. So constantly good is Vi's engage because you cannot stop it.
Yeah.
So maybe not onto someone like Sivir. I don't know. I question.
So yeah, because Vi on a Sivir, she's going to be able to get pretty far away before that Assault and Battery connects. And we did see an Annie top in the first game, and it looks like this will be a repeat of that, with Annie going in the top lane, Zed in the mid lane. So another Zed, another Annie.
So it seems to me that they pick Annie because they're going to pick Zed.
Yeah.
So they're looking for a magic damage solution to what is already an AD heavy team.
Yeah, very smart.
Picking the Annie top didn't work in game 1 though, up against a Shyvana I believe it was. This time a Maokai.
I feel as though in the first game, the Annie did pretty well. She was kind of like the last legs for the team, but the Shyvana just too much map pressure. And Corki filling out nicely with that. That will be an Urgot mid, or maybe a Corki mid, depending on play preference.
Looks to be the Urgot mid. Reinmeister has played his fair share of Urgot mid, so we'll see him on that one. We've got Stealthix on the Corki as the response, which is interesting. At the mid game that comes out of Sin's team comp right now is massive.
Yeah.
And that will be where they look to push their advantage and make a lead for themselves.
It's going to be really interesting to see how they can get onto Team Fortnite. There was so much disengage on a champion like Urgot. He relies so much on the position reverser to catch anyone out, along with slows as his only really form of staying in range to do damage.
Yeah.
And it will be quite a feat if he's able to do that.
Pretty much. I question the Vi pick even more so now that the team comps are finished.
Yeah.
The Sivir can spell shield the Vi ultimate, I
True.
believe, at the last second even, like a reactive. I'm not sure if it still knocks up. I don't believe it does. It should not. And then you've got the Gragas, you've got the Janna, and you've got the Sivir ultimate as well to boot.
Yeah.
So the Vi, whose ultimate cannot be cancelled, is now going from one side of the map to the other side of the map, basically on a leash, chasing the person that they ultimate, if it is the Sivir. If it's not the Sivir, it's going to get free damage.
Yeah, you tend to think maybe, we saw the Cinderhog before, it might be more of just like a peel Vi. You know, just Assault and Battery, whoever's jumping onto the Corki or the Urgot, just trying to keep them safe rather than becoming that heavy assassin jungler we're used to seeing on Vi. So maybe using her knockups, her armor shreds, and her Assault and Battery more of a defensive.
Yeah, that's very possible that it could be used in a defensive manner. That's
the thing. I don't see it becoming very effective against, like you said, spell shields and speed boosts and disengage.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it'll be too effective, but if we have a look at the rest of Sin's team comp, the rest of their engage is basically a Thresh and Maokai, which unless the death sentence hits, it's not going to be that reliable. You kind of want the Vi to be initiating to enable you to be able to hit the death sentence and the Maokai's twisted advances that otherwise may not come out. I guess their engage is just going to be, it's going to be more so brute force, where they just try and run over the team of Fauna.
Yeah, of course. And we got Annie in the top lane for their engage. You were asking about that.
Yes.
And the Flash Tibbers, that's all the engage you need when you have the backings of Zed and Sivir. So it will be interesting to see if she can get a nice ultimate off and provide, because not many escapes on the team of Sin here. I think only Corki and Vi have reliable escapes. So it will be pretty much the front line. If you can flash past the front line, then Urgot's dead, Thresh is dead. So it would be good to see.
Well, their team screams to me, go in and run them over. There's no going back. If you're the Sin team comp right now and you need to retreat, you're going to have a pretty bad time.
Yeah, as we've said it before, Sin, they love to fight. They love to showcase their aggression. We saw Rymaster on Azir just doing that countless times, but also matched by CNJ. Not on Lucian this time, so we're not going to be seeing any reckless pursuits. But yeah, the ultimate just going to be providing a lot of disengage while providing engage for his team.
Yeah, and I think looking at both teams comes from a more holistic point of view is that it plays perfectly into the way that both teams want to play. The instant engage, the reliable instant engage even from the Annie is going to allow the team... The one game that Fortnite have won so far was off the back of an engage like an Amumu who can just flash and use the ultimate. And that allowed the rest of the team to do a lot of work. And it's very similar this game. Instead, it's going to be a Tibbers from an Annie.
Yeah, that's pretty much their only form of engage, unless Gragas can get a nice ultimate while Vi's ulting in and just completely separate the fight. Because I think they might... If I was them, I would be using Sivir as bait for that Vi. Get the Vi to ult in, and then just disengage, split the enemy team, kill the Vi, re-engage.
Yeah, well, that's going to be the smart power play from Fortnite in the team fight, is going to be allow the Vi essentially, because that's what their team comp wants to do, is kind of play back. Like, let them engage and kite backwards as far as you can, utilize the champions that you've got, and make a play with either re-engaging with the Annie. Otherwise, you're just going to be initiating with an Annie and then using disengage.
And how do you feel about the Zed vs Urgot matchup?
Zed vs Urgot it can go either way very early in the lane, but you'll see Urgot, generally speaking, have control. Zed will mostly be last hitting with his shurikens, trying to stay at a safe distance and not get hit with the acid hunters and survive, basically, till
that
6.
sounds about right.
And then Urgot's actually a counter pick to Zed.
Because the passive of Urgot reduces the damage output from Zed, who relies so heavily on being able to blow up his opponent.
Yes, and the Zed ultimate is there countered by the Urgot ultimate, which will stop him in his tracks, the hyperkinetic position reverser.
Of course.
Give himself resistances and just negate the Zed entirely.
All right, and as we say that, we're going to be jumping into the 4th game of Sin versus Fortnite.
Fairly standard at the moment again. Sin having that team comp that wants to just go in and invade with the Thresh and the Vi. Opting not to fan this time, though, and doing what they did in Game 2, which is butt heads with the enemy, or at least try to.
Yeah, but they're going to be immediately spotted out by that early ward from Janna. So they're going to have full eyes on the team of Sin here. Another ward going down that lets Sin know they are spotted. But this is pretty much a mirror of what happened last time. Going in with 5 members, getting in the vision that they need. Sivir already used some mana on that boomerang blade. Looks like they do get 2 wards in that bush. So maybe a little bit overzealous. But Gragas getting some nice slows with the barrel. Not too much happening, just some wards on the bottom half of the map.
Yeah, no, it's just warding. And
Yeah.
I don't think there was any real threat of an engage from a Janna Tornado or something knocking them up, which does show that they have the Tornado leveled up first, though. And being a Corki Thresh, they might be super aggressive.
Now, call this deja vu, but I feel like we've seen this before. Maokai starting at the Raptors, going to be doing that. Let's see if Moya goes for a repeat ward over the wall, but it actually gets it this time.
This is actually game 2 all over
Yeah,
again.
it feels like it, doesn't it?
The Maokai is doing the Raptors. They're lane swapping and putting the Corki Thresh. Oh, actually, no, they've baited the lane swap.
Oh, of course.
And it looks like they're going to go back bottom. Maokai's just going to head top. And Janna and Siva have now reacted. So they spotted the fact that there was an Annie, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And they've now rotated quickly, and they'll get there and maybe miss 1 or 2 CS.
Now, Annie in a 2v1, not something I see too often. So care to shed some light on how she does?
Well, she's got very high base range, and she has ranged spells.
Yeah.
No sustain to speak of, though. So if a hook hits, she's going to be hurting a lot. But she's somewhat safe. You can tell the range from Annie. She should be okay. She just zones herself a little bit on the towers.
Yeah, the only problem is once this freeze gets underway, it's going to be very hard for her to last hit without any real risk because, and as we see already, the Acid Hunter's just doing so much damage. Keeping him at bay, under tower, he's going to have to farm with Shuriken like you said.
Yeah, and if he doesn't farm with Shurikens, then he's most likely making a mistake. The amount of damage that Urgot is putting out even this early in the game is enough to scare you off and at least use a pot and force you into a position where you kind of don't want to be a Zed.
And it looks like we have the hook coming out from Ju, doing not too much. It looks like it did turn around a bit, but here comes 2 members of Sin from the top. Here comes a sapling toss. Is it going to get the slow off? No, and he flashes immediately. So a hook coming in, Ju taking a bit more damage than he thought he would, I'm sure. And probably a little bit too early. Maybe trying to bait in Annie to be a little bit over-aggressive for Maokai and Vi to come around from the back. But yeah, nothing happening.
Yeah, so it's kind of similar to the last game.
Yeah.
We have the 4v1 situation because Annie was in lane and puts her in a position where it's a bit dicey, but the Janna had rotated earlier this time, so well done to Zaldo to recognize that and didn't die for the rotation this time, which is a big deal.
Points
Mid's still going heavily in favor, but Points has teleported earlier this time.
Yeah.
Which is a big factor, which will help Points a lot.
So look, a nice wave of experience, if not gold, for Annie to soak up. But Janna is going to be able to be there to give her probably the shield, so some extra AD, making last hitting a little bit easier. But Annie's Q, always really good for last hitting. Is it full mana refund or 50%?
Full mana refund,
and
it reduces the cooldown, I believe, by a fair amount. So it's very easy to almost use them consecutively for last hits, almost in time, in rhythm with the tower shot. So it's very easy to farm last hit under tower as Annie. Ju's doing this dragon has been spotted.
Yeah, and I think he knows that even if he wasn't spotted, it would have been a little bit too risky regardless because he was getting taken pretty low by that dragon. And all it takes is, if we remember back to the Nunu game, a nice leash from Jube to give them an early first dragon. But here we go. Gragas wants to make something happen in this mid lane. Just going to be belly flopping in, hitting out the barrel roll, doing a little bit of slow, forcing him off some CS, and that's about it.
Yeah, nothing massive acquired from that gank, but just a bit of a pain. Gragas being there saying, you know, watch yourself a little bit. I'm always around, and you stop bullying my lane. Not going to get anything from it. Zed's going to be able to push, though, which I think is what the big plan was. Get him to push to the tower so it at least resets back to standard, and you don't have a 20 minion stack that can get frozen. Rymeister being very aggressive.
Yeah, Zed going a little bit too far in for just a couple of last hits, and is that going to be it?
That should be it.
I think so, and that's first blood going down to Rymeister.
Smart play from Rymeister, not wasting any summoners until he knew that he was going to get the kill. And Ju's coming in and saying, well, you just got to kill, so I'm just going to get your minions anyway.
Yeah, it's like,
the jungle attacks.
Share the gold.
Yeah, the Rippy tax coming out there. And they're going to recall, and it's going to be a very good position for Urgot. He should have enough money for a tier if he chooses to go for that option, or he might just go for some damage, having started with the longsword.
And speaking of build paths, do you think Zed will be It already answered my question. I was going to say, do you think he'll be opting for some more lifesteal to sustain that lane or armor pen to go for the kills? And he answered my own question. Looks like he'll be picking up that Brutalizer first item.
Yes, he did answer your question for you. You don't generally want to go for sustain in a lane where you're going to end up roaming anyway.
Yeah, of course.
It's almost a completely unbearable lane this early in. so you're not really going to have a chance to sustain up either. You're using your shurikens to last hit. He's got cooldown reduction now, which is a positive for that shuriken last hitting, and once you get 6, there's always the potential for Zed to disappear.
Now Zed, very formidable at, like you said, disappearing and showing up in lanes where he's not so welcome by the enemy team. But yeah, we see Points just doing what Maokai does, farming under tower, sustaining with his passive, and just being a nuisance. Bought a lot of potions off that Raptor Camp gold, so he is able to stay in lane for quite a considerable amount of time. Even though Annie did get that early pressure, she is keeping up with CS, and like you said, a ranged champion with ranged abilities, that's what you come to expect.
Yeah, she's basically 2v2ing in a lane with an Annie now, which is not exactly conventional, but it's a lot easier for her to be able to farm, and being able to keep up with the Maokai is a win for the Annie, considering they were the ones who put the lane swap in effect.
Yeah, it's going to be all on this Annie to get the nice engage, because Maokai, such a tank, going to be offering a lot to Team Sin, whereas Fornot only really have their tank in Gragas. So it will be interesting to see if he is enough to quell the aggression.
Yeah, I feel this early game is just going to be almost entirely in favor of Sin, regardless of like anything, like rotations aside. Team comps are just, it feels as though it's so in favor of Sin that having the 2v2 lane with the Annie, there's no kill pressure. She's not going to get 6 quick enough. The Zed's losing lane innately, and then we've got the Maokai and Sivir, who Sivir's just going to push. Yeah,
it really looks to be pretty one-sided this early on. Of course, we've seen one-sided, how a one-side game between these two can completely tilt on its head and just be back in the favor of the other. So don't count anyone out just yet, but it is interesting to mention how far behind Zed is to Urgot, a whole 20 CS. Urgot has that tier, going for that early Muramana. And yes, Corki getting the Phage. Sivir going for the BS sword. But yes, Sivir and Corki pretty even in CS, despite the lane swaps.
Yeah, even in CS, but I feel as though the BF gives a slight advantage if they were to 1v1, not taking into account Corki's spells, of course, which are likely to connect because he has so many of them. They've all rotated to the bottom now. Maokai is still top. This is their chance to at least attempt to go for a dragon.
Yeah, the ward is in a great position for Maokai to teleport onto, but as I say that, it gets killed as the pink reveals. So this could potentially be a free dragon for Team Fornot. I don't see much in the way of Sin preparing to contest it. So no, that's going to be a nice, easy dragon. Probably not going to get this top tower here with points, but a nice bit of damage, a nice bit of free golden experience.
Yeah, they just take up the first dragon. It doesn't provide any gold advantages. It doesn't put them in a horrible position to lose this game or anything. They're still going to be okay and just take a little bit extra free farm. Maokai is looking comfortably ahead now of the Annie, and he's doing well for himself this game compared to the last Maokai game we saw. So, very promising start.
But I feel like something we have skipped over, though, is Annie doesn't have teleport. She does have Ignite, so I don't know how much map pressure Fornot are going to really be looking for this game if they've shown their cards this early that they want this Annie to kill.
Well, they're sacrificing teleport pressure. They're sacrificing lane pressure in that respect. Annie now laning 1v1 against the Maokai, who has been given 7 free levels.
Oh, a lot of damage
as you can tell.
But the Maokai shield on. Not much going to come for it, just asserting dominance in the lane by the looks of it. The Arcane Smash doing a lot of damage just at the end there.
Yeah, definitely hurting that Annie, and Annie's not exactly the tankiest hero.
No.
Opting towards the Fiendish Codex, going for the Morellos from the looks of it. It's not going to be able to trade with a Maokai at least this early in the game.
No.
Unless you decide to throw down your tip-tips and just all in. And
but I guess when you have Ignite, that's what you want to do, really. Because, like, you're not going to win the sustain lane. Maokai's going to be able to back off and teleport when a team fight happens on the map. You really got to think that Annie's going to want to kill him. Just over and over and over again.
Well, I guess that's the logic behind having the Ignite, as we can see Juice come in here.
Yeah, this looks like it's going to be an easy kill for Team Sin. Naya missing the explosive cast, not much going to come from it. Yeah, just Annie in the wrong place at the wrong time.
It's just a casual kill is what it felt like. There was no surprise, no enthusiasm. Maokai seemed to be bullying out of lane quite easily, and then Juice just comes in, secures a kill. A nice flash from points, though.
Yeah, when you're 30% off, when you're 30% health and a Maokai and a Vi are looking at you, I'm sorry, but you're not going to survive that one.
No, you might almost say that Gragas wasted his ultimate as well in that situation. It did force a flash, so it's definitely worth, but having no Gragas ult and Vi having hers available, there's an opportunity for a dive, especially with Urgot being so far ahead of the Zed.
Vi was spotted by that ward, so this dive is to be expected. Missing the Vault Breaker, but here comes Zed, hitting the ult just after the hyperkinetic position reverser hit. But yeah, not much really coming from it. Vi just getting baited kind of there.
That was actually like a very strong rotation from the Annie right there. Actually catching Juice out of position, not allowing him to use the rest of the Vault Breaker to get his ultimate off.
But that's the thing, they saw Vi so early, so they were able to prepare for this. And Vi, thinking that she was being real sneaky, wasn't that sneaky.
No, and they didn't even need the Gragas ultimate that we mentioned to get anything from it. They managed to kill, I think it was a Vi kill and Urgot not getting anything.
No, Urgot survived. I do believe, yeah, Urgot survived. Vi died. Yeah, that's all she wrote.
Yeah. So they got a kill for it. They got a kill for the troubles. Well done by the Annie to secure that kill with a smart, very smart rotation. Not able to win lane. The lane's pushing in from the Maokai, but still deciding to go middle instead of taking Annie farm. Works out very well for Fortnite.
So they've sent Annie and Gragas bot, giving Zed the farm and top while Urgot pushes in the mid. Looks like they will be recalling, as nothing looks like it's going to happen here. But as I say that, Flying Dew hits a hook. The box comes out doing so much crowd control, but CNJ flashes through it, and Annie on the edge just hits and gets that massive 90% slow. So no flash up, no Tibbers engage, and yeah, just a battle of wits at this stage.
Yeah, Juice was there to secure if there was any kind of counter engage, but a little bit counterintuitive was the Janna ultimate, followed up by an Annie just casually strolling through the lane saying, why did you just do that? And nothing comes from it. It seems like there's not very strong communication coming out here from Fortnite at this current moment.
For that effort, they end up losing a tower. So by trying to pressure out the bot lane, by trying to get this Annie rolling, they've just set themselves further behind. So yeah, I'm not sure how they plan to pick up their game from here, because it seems that map control isn't one of their objectives to winning.
Well, I guess the next big thing to do if you were Fortnite, and you're in a position right now, you're 3k gold down, they've most likely recognized that they're behind, and mid lane's losing, top lane's losing by 50 CS, by the way, at 13 minutes, a big amount. And I guess what do you do next? You rotate, you group up, you can maybe force the Zed can't really split push in this situation because the Maokai is very big and you won't be able to kill him, especially with the items that you have now because you've been behind in lane. So what do? You find vision control in a particular area of the map, say near the dragon because it's up in 50 seconds. You make a pick, and then you try and snowball from there by getting kills on important people.
Now, it's going to be very hard for them to do that because I imagine StealthX isn't going to be walking into any brushes without first shooting a missile in there. So they're going to have some very good vision control and some very forward movements to not get spotted out by just away skill shots. But yeah, like you mentioned, the Dragon coming up in 25 seconds. Teams are moving down there. Annie, no teleport, has to give up a full wave of minions just to get there in time.
Yeah.
This is why top laners take teleport, man.
You'd be feeling bad if you're Annie right now. That is for sure. Rymeister just picked up his blue buff. He's spent a lot of his money. He's got his Hex Drinker ready to go.
Yep.
He's actually quite tanky given his items right now. He's finished the armor boots. He's got the Hex Drinker, finished a Man Immune, and that is well and truly on the way to scaling towards that Muramana.
And once that ultimate comes out, Urgot is going to be a walking crab tank.
Yeah, and he's not even far off level 11. So once that comes out, even tanker. And you can see Sin, I'm not even going to act surprised anymore, standing in a bush.
Yep.
Waiting for an opportunity to hit that hook, unfortunately missing.
Zaldo.
That's right.
But yeah, we see Maokai coming down from this one. Doesn't want to burn the teleport because it offers so much presence against Annie. But I feel like they don't have the wards for it, but he could be still in that top lane. With Annie no teleport, like they always have the potential to be pushing a lane while forcing Fortnite to stay at these objectives. But it looks like a fight should be breaking out any time. Both teams are poised to go in. The Gragas has been hooked. The Flay going massive. The box around 4 members. Here comes Vi in the back line going straight onto Annie. But Zed in the middle of the fight. Oh, and he catches Vi on the backside there. Looks like Naya is taking very low, but the shield from Janna comes out. Looks like Urgot has gotten 2 kills by now. The hook narrowly missing. Maokai and Urgot want to chase this one. Here comes the Acid Hunters with the slow. Could Maokai get in range for a snare? It looks like he'll flash the barrel, and that's going to be a dead Sivir.
Maokai is so tanky. They're going to continue to dive. They decide not to, thankfully.
Yeah.
The amount of work that Maokai does in fights compared to the Annie at this stage. You got a Morello's to a Righteous Glory. They should be able to get this Dragon. And the amount that you can tank as Maokai compared to the Annie who can just blow up, it's a lot more volatile to be in Fornot's position right now. And Rymeister, ultimate used on the Zed the second that he used his ultimate rather, and it's a complete counter to what the Zed can do. Zed being in the backline by himself because there's no tank like the Maokai that we're seeing on Sin. It's only an Annie.
I think the flaws in this team comp are starting to show. Vi just basically made Annie useless that fight. Urgot doing the same to his counterpart. But looks like Urgot going to be flashing out here. I think he might die here. Or is he going to... No, he didn't. He survives and gets the return kill. Oh no. The stress lines on Moya are starting to show as he's going a little bit too aggressive. Thinks he has the backup, but a level 8 Annie with a Morellonomicon. Probably... I don't think he looked to see how much magic resistance Urgot is actually packing.
Well, he has the Hex Drink, and the Hex Drink is what saved him there. The amount of damage that he's doing, though, given his items, the pseudo-tanky damage build that he's got right now, it's actually ridiculous.
Yeah. It just looks really one-sided at this stage. Corki going to be using those Sheen procs to do extra damage to that tower. That's going to be the third and final outer turret for Fornot falling. Try saying that 50 times fast.
No, thank you. Here's the thing that I don't agree with so much with the Fornot comp is the fact that they have so much disengage. That's fine because there's a lot of engage from Sin. Perfect. Use the disengage whenever they engage, but now that you're 5,000 gold behind, what's your disengage going to do to provide you with an advantage whatsoever? You're only really cementing the fact that you're now behind, and there's no real way for you to turn it around and get a kill without Annie being ahead.
They're playing Sin's game. Like, Sin are placing down all the pieces on the map and moving them, while Fornot are just moving them away. Step by step, getting further and further back on the map. As we can see in the inner tower, the first of the game being taken, just opening up the entire middle of the map to such, not even that much of a mobile team, but just like a big tank just ramming through the jungle. So.
And that's the engage that Sin have, funnily enough, is just running at them.
Yeah.
There's no hard engage besides the Vi, which is a very... Against the team that it is against, it's not exactly a hard engage. It's more so a hard diffused kind of attempted engage, but it's still an engage, I guess. But looking at, like, you're right. They're not going to be able to utilize anything from their team comp right now and get a kill. Annie's too far behind to initiate.
Yeah.
Way too far behind to initiate. She will just die. She will explode. Only has the Morello to finish and
Still
Mobos.
level 8 since that last fight. Hasn't been able to pick up any farm for herself. Maokai, 140 to Annie 68. This is just... Oh, the Annie pick may have been their saving grace, not entirely in the first game, but this game it is really backfiring. I think taking that Ignite as well just wasn't the correct decision, so they may be regretting this right now.
Yeah,
it's such an important game as well.
Yeah, this is potentially the last game for Fornot. They're down by 1. It's a best-of-5 series. If Sin come out on top of this, they are in the OPL, and they're the ones in a commanding position right now. C&J is taking some damage too, speaking of which.
Corki damage on top with... He's got the completed Trinity Force. Looks like he'll be going for a Blade of the Ruined King as his second item to kind of balance out that utility with a bit more lifesteal. He wants to Valkyrie in and just stick to targets because he knows there's no position for them to turn around and kill him. If he goes in and they use their Initiate to try and kill him, how are they going to escape? How are they going to escape this massive force of Urgot and Maokai just barreling down on top of them?
Well, it's funny, we said it last game that the Kalista wants a Bloodthirster for the Zed, but in this case, they're going in, actually.
Yeah, it looks like Urgot gets barreled right back into the team. The one Initiate they have is doing so much, but here comes Vi on the back line being able to just knock up Zed and Ju, finishing that one with a nice auto attack. So the one engage they have paid off for them. No matter how tanky you are, 5 members all focusing you at the same time is not enough for Rymeister to get out of that one unscathed.
Well, yeah, we just badmouthed the fact they don't have much engage for so long, and they literally just engaged and managed to come out ahead, killing Urgot there. Yeah, whenever Urgot's dead, it allows Moya to get an ultimate off, and he did do a lot of damage, but he did pay his life for it. And while I said that I don't agree with the Annie pick as much, I definitely disagree more so with the Zed pick.
Yeah, because it was shown first that Urgot was available, but it looks like Zaldo getting caught out once again. Here comes Annie in the backline doing so much. The Thresh Lantern going to be saving Jews, but Ken Points, he's going to have to fend for himself. His team's left him to die, but he does have the flash available. And they were fighting Janna for a long time, and she just gets a lantern out of there. So, Vi, sorry, not Janna. Vi is just able to get out of there with a slither of health because they have so much map pressure on the rest of Sin.
It was a weird position for them both to be in there, the Maokai and the Vi trying to, I guess, make a pick. Dragon up in a minute. Thankfully,
Is this
no
poor
one died.
timing on the behalf of 4Not? They're just hovering around on that crab, kind of waiting for it to spawn. So maybe a missed time for them. They had 3 members sitting in that crab for a good 5 to 6 seconds. Not something you would normally do unless they were waiting for a scanner to be up.
We know the real problem, I guess, is that the Annie doesn't have the teleport. So she does need to rotate early and be there for a fight to start.
Yeah.
Now, Maokai can just do exactly what he is now with teleport up now. It just popped up into availability. He's going to go top. He's going to split push. Sin don't really need to do this Dragon. It's only Dragon number 2. It's not a big deal in anyone's favor if it goes down. And if the rest of the Sin side, such as Not Juves and the Corki, they just bully them, prevent control of the Dragon area, or at least poke them or annoy them and delay it, Maokai's just going to get more and more farm. He's going to become tankier and tankier. And there's no answer because Annie has to be around there, otherwise they give it up.
Yeah, unless she interrupts the teleport, which I don't think he's going to allow, there's really no way that this top lane isn't just going to get pushed in every time the Dragon's up. So really paying for their decision to not bring a teleport into such a teleport-heavy meta, where tank top laners can just stay there pushing waves and getting free towers. It looks like Sin, like you said, probably don't want to fight for it, but no, here comes the teleport out of Maokai. The Death Sentence narrowly missing, but the Janna going to be knocking up Juves in the middle of the Vault Breaker, securing the Dragon for his team. CNJ staying in the backline doing so much damage, but Zed just getting pushed out. Looks like Juves will be surviving on a slither of health. Zed gets taken out by the Corki. He's still alive, doing so much damage to Gragas. So that's going to be a 3 for 2, even though the Dragon is in favor of 4Not. I don't see them getting out of here alive with a nice hook over the wall by Flying Dew. CNJ overstaying his welcome, but a nice 2-man Howling Gale from Zaldo. But, and the Monsoon being saved to the very end, and the hook narrowly missing a minion as a flash from CNJ is able to dodge that. He did have his spell shield, but it was procced just before the hook hit, so he did have to use the flash there.
Starting to look scarier and scarier here for 4Not. That fight, they went everything onto the Urgot. And speaking of Urgot, look at that damage with the Muramana finish.
Insane.
That is unbelievable.
That's insane. The shield also providing so much tankability against this tower, and that's going to be another inner tower gone. Sure, they got the Dragon. They're able to get 2 kills and a tower. So again, like you said, 4Not shouldn't be fighting these fights. They really need to wait for a pick. But when a Maokai's teleporting on top of your team, there's not much you can do. Janna not ulting till the end of the fight. So maybe it would have been wise to disengage after getting that Dragon, just back off and reset.
Yeah, I guess they could have utilized it to back off and reset, but they decided they wanted to fight.
Yeah.
They had the Annie go in. They all put everything onto Rymeister and Not Juves, who took most of the damage. The thing is, Rymeister's a tank. So all of this damage that went onto him was to no avail. In fact, he survived and managed to continue to do damage, and we saw how much he does in that bot lane shortly after.
Because Zed just like forcing himself again and again onto Rymeister, but like you've mentioned before, the Urgot ult just going to be countering that at every portion of the game. There's really nothing he can gain from ulting Urgot, besides maybe getting him to pop the ult. But like, that's what he wants to do anyway.
Well, speaking of ulting an Urgot.
He's going to be caught out completely here. Going for a ward, but look how much damage. No! I think... giving me a heart attack. If he had survived that, that may have been the camel that broke the... the straw that broke the camel's back in the sense of 4Not's confidence. When 4 members go on an Urgot, you expect him to die, and thank for that, he did.
Well, thankfully he did die, and they managed to get a tower for it. They're bringing it back in their favor a little bit. The free tower, no trade available here on the side of Sin, and now they're the ones who need to lick their wounds a little bit, decide what do we do when Rymeister is back up. That does not involve him being caught out of position, which seems to happen a fair amount. And what can we do to make it work positively for us?
Yeah, he really committed into killing that ward, because I guess why else would you commit that hard unless your next objective is the Baron? And we're seeing StealthX taking a little bit too much from that. The barrel just giving vision. Looks like Fortnite will be coming around from the left side. It is completely watered though. Here comes the Righteous Glory. The flash in straight onto Annie, doing so much damage. Maokai flashing in on top of her as well. And that's pretty much the end of Annie. Zed was in the bot lane with no teleport. They're not going to be contesting the Baron here. It looks like Urgot will be going bot to deal with Zed. The remaining members of Sin will just go mid and continue to push.
Yeah, well, they don't need to do the Baron. It's a needless risk. You said it earlier in the series, it's a throw pit. Why not use your numbers advantage you now have in the mid lane? You've got the tank advantage. And we said before that the Vi doesn't really have an initiation. I take that back because the Annie is so far behind that Annie is now the focus, and she's going for a death cap next.
I feel like she needs the Zhonya's. The second that Vi ults, she needs to be able to get out of that if she wants to provide any support, CC, and damage to her team, because right now she's just dying and dying and dying without being able to do anything in return. A tank Vi, again, going for that Cinderhulk with a Aegis of the Legion on top of that, going to be building into the Lock of the Iron Solari, so really focusing on more magic resistance and armor here?
Yeah, just complete tank stats. That's what he's trying to do. He wants to be in the back line of Fortnite and just be a pest for as long as possible with the Maokai. Allow the Corki, who's hit that big mid-game spike now. Blade the Ruin King Triforce finished. Even has a QSS to stop the Zed. Who are you going to ult as Zed right now? You've got a QSS. You've got an Urgot.
You got Thresh, I guess.
Yeah?
Urgot's just going to disrupt your ult immediately, regardless of who you ult anyway. And then Corki's just going to QSS the Death Mark. Maokai, you won't even notice that you're there. The Vi also building tanky. Again, just not the target. I guess Thresh is the only one.
Well, I think that the only real answer there is to split push with Zed and not fight anyone.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he's started to do and what he needs to continue to do.
Oh, no. Looks like Zaldo is just on the wrong side of the river.
Oh, just a little bit.
Maybe they've given up pursuit. Maybe they're trying to bait out the Baron because... But little do they know there is a little bit of vision there just onto the left side of it. So Zaldo is going to be getting out of that one pretty much unscathed and going to be turning their attention back towards the Baron. But Naya going for a ward, not able to get it. Slowing the enemies with the barrel, making sure that he can't get engaged on by that Vi.
Yeah, this is Sin just trying to bully them out and secure a positional advantage, essentially. Sivir has no spell shield, and they're going in.
Oh, they knew exactly Rymaster's number there. He was going all in the barrel. Only hitting the 2 tanks, but they really need to make a play here off that kill. Looks like they will be dying as well, because Points just taking a massive amount of damage before even flinching. And look at that, CNJ just too far up in the fight. Zaldo at the Wolves. He's out. That's a double kill for Corki. Even if it's a 4v5, the tower's basically as strong as them at this stage.
They didn't even have Rymeister. He got instantly blown up. But I guess that is the entirety of the initiation from Fortnite there. Annie using the Flash Tibbers.
Yeah.
What else do they have to follow it up? They tried with the Gragas barrel, but then they had a Vi and a Maokai in their face. They're both tanky as all hell. They're not taking any damage. And Celtics in the back. He did work.
He was just able to completely outclass CNJ in that little fight. Both of the AD carries were so far forward when thinking about where the tanks were. Pulling Gragas into the Baron pit, he's going to be getting taken down here maybe. So tanky, but the Baron doing a lot of damage in the back here. Will he be able to belly flop over the wall? They're standing in front of him to deny the belly flop, but one man denying the Baron. Would you say that's worth it at this stage of the game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
it doesn't get much more worth of the Gragas than that. You're not really going to have an impact onto the Baron besides trying to steal it. Or doing exactly what he did just then, forcing them all away from the pit. They were a bit low. The heal was popped from Stealthix, and they just put all of the effort towards killing him instead of actually getting the Baron.
Yeah, this looks like it's going to be a third Dragon for Team Fortnite.
Or does it?
Or no, because here comes Urgot. But Annie is there. Maokai is teleported behind. Urgot getting the ulti off, but he gets stunned by Annie, getting taken really low, but has so much armor and MR on top of that item, just giving him the shield, and here comes the Tibbers taking the hook, as you saw. And the Dragon does go over to Team Fortnite in the end, but how many lives are lost for that? Predicting the flash. Juices, no! He did use the Vault Breaker, but CNJ holding onto the flash at the last possible second and escaping that one with his life. So a bit of a sloppy fight by both members there, because Rymeister went in with 4 members on his back. He thought he had enough from the support of Points, but it really wasn't enough to keep him alive. But then Moya going into the backline as well. Basically the same problem. had the support of his team, but it just wasn't enough to keep him alive.
Well, he's getting the Zed syndrome right now, where you're behind and there's actually nothing you can do besides being annoying and dying. As taking as long as possible to die is basically Zed's goal right now, and that's a bit of an issue, I feel like, when it comes towards winning this game.
Yep.
Rymeister way out of position. Thought he had points with him, but points teleported to a position that was so far away.
Yeah,
that there was just no way.
He basically had to run a marathon just to get to the Dragon Pit, and Rymeister opening with the ultimate. What you want to do, because it gives you that bonus magic damage, magic resistance and armor. Do you get that regardless of if the ult is stunned?
Yeah, no, you get the resistances regardless. So being stunned away was perfectly fine. He just used his flash, and he was actually going to live if it wasn't for the Zed ult, who died for his troubles, but he did manage to help at least secure the kill there.
Yeah, he was surviving. Basically, 4 members just beating down on him. The Hex Drinker enough to keep him alive through the Annie damage, but unfortunately, like you said, the Zed finishing him off but dying for his troubles. Looks like, again, a little bit of focus towards his Baron Pit, mainly just removing wards, getting vision control. Meanwhile, Fortnite have seen an opportunity to push up mid, but nothing's going to come from it.
Looks like it thought they could get him, but that was not to be. Righteous Glory popped, nothing coming from it.
Yep, the Janna Q just going to be stopping them in their tracks.
Yeah. Rymeister needs to settle down a little bit.
Yeah.
And stay with his team. But speaking of settling down.
Here comes the flash ult right onto Annie. She's going to get taken down in a little bit, I assume. But no, in the back line, Zed gets taken down first. Oh, the missile from Corki doing so much damage, but not able to finish him off. Maybe the burn. No, the slow from the Gragas Baron is going to not give Juves a kill, but the Vault Breaker will be up very soon. But again, Annie really fast here.
Has the mobility boots.
Yeah, just basically jogging away from Vi there.
Yeah,
so,
it felt like a slow sprint.
Annie, I guess I got to keep in mind that this is a tank Vi. So even though the Annie is so far behind, after the Vi ult came out, I was looking at Annie's health, waiting for it to pop, and it just kind of stayed on 30%. But here we go. The inhibitor turret's down. The inhibitor's surely going to follow, putting Sin in a really powerful position in this game 4, potentially the last game of the tournament.
Yeah, they're going to get that inhibitor. They're going to be able to continue what they were doing for the past 5 minutes, and that is be a pest around the Baron buff. There's no dragon to speak of, and it's heavily in their favor. 10,000 gold right now, and so much of that gold is on the Corki and the Urgot that it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and like you said, Rymeister just needs to settle down, stop going for these ridiculous plays, and just be the damage, the long-range artillery his team needs him to be. And you saw him doing that fight, just being able to, once Zed goes in, ult the Zed and stay alive.
Yeah, he did exactly what we expected him to do in teamfights. He played his purpose perfectly, and being Urgot, he could have actually killed the Annie that you were discussing about, should have died, but he chose to ultimate the Zed instead. Did his job as a counter pick to the Zed.
Yeah.
And essentially won his team the fight by allowing the AD carries and whoever Zed was focusing not getting a kill, Zed.
Yeah. So it looks like, again, just poising around this Baron, the hook coming out on the Crab, showing it who's boss. The Crab's so important for just rallying around the Baron, because that extra movement speed buff allows you to get in there and get out, disengage, engage, and the vision is a little nice treat on the side. So with this ward, another little ward just really stopping, because they know that they're baiting, because they should be able to see any of the Baron's AoEs going off in the distance. But here comes a Thresh Hook, narrowly missing Sivir.
It gets them every time. They don't have absolute vision control. They're just controlling the area. And it's completely aware of the fact Fortnite are just going to let them sit there.
The problem is no scanners up. The only person with a scanner available is Rymeister, and he's not even there. But the Baron has been started. Sivir is in the base. This could prove very difficult for them to want to fight without their Sivir.
We'll see how they actually use this team fight without the Sivir now. Sivir's there. Sivir's available.
Baron
they may try to go in. 3,000 health left.
1,000. And that's going to be a smite over to Vi, but in the process, Corki gets destroyed. Janna providing the CC she needs, but not going to be enough as Sivir gets taken down, and in the midst of the fight, Annie just surviving on a slither of health. Rymeister stuck in the Baron Pit. Is he going to be able to survive this? He's still alive, doing enough damage that he needs to do for Thresh to be able to pick up Zed. Looks like Graga's going to try and run away from this one, but the Maokai Arcane Drag just comes in and snares him up. Meanwhile,
is gonna take a while.
Yeah, the Gragas just so tanky. Basically, that was a lot of damage. Yeah, I was expecting another couple of spell rotations, but Yeah, the Twisted Advance just doing that percentage health damage as well. Going to be just enough that they need.
It's so weird watching the fights like those unfold. They instantly killed Stealthix. I don't even know what hit him, but he did not have a chance to even react, dying instantly.
Yeah.
Yet they still managed to come out ahead in fights.
Now, this has been basically a reoccurring factor where Sin will look like they've taken a bad fight, and then all of a sudden, the miracles happen and they walk away with 3 members still alive opposed to 2.
Well, they've just got extremely strong mechanical abilities. You can tell the fact that the shot calling as well, their confidence, they're going to 4v5 this. We're going to continue to fight is obviously what is going through the comms.
Yeah.
They're aware of that fact that they can. And even with Stealthix being instantly killed, they kited back. They managed to kill CNJ for their troubles and make a good trade out of something that otherwise looked like it wouldn't have been at all.
Yeah, it looks like the Dragon going to be the next objective to be fought for here. There is still the inhibitor down in the mid lane, so Super Minion's going to be rallying in, but the hook comes in onto CNJ. He's getting taken super low by the Annie-Sun, stunning Juves at his feet. What's going to happen here? Just Juves gets taken down, but Urgot in the front line's not really where he wants to be, but he's so tanky it doesn't even matter, and Stealthix coming over the wall, just picking them apart. Naya gets taken down, and a Dragon or the game?
It may well even be at least an inhibitor, which will be 2 in favor of Sin right now. And it's getting so scary for Fortnite. If Sin manage to pull this out, they're going to put themselves into the OPL as 29-6 in kills and a 13,000 gold lead for them. It's looking fantastic.
Yeah, just another great initiate by Juve, just getting right on top of that Annie every single time. The hook, though, coming out from Flying Dew, just catching Sivir, even with the spell shield. So it looks like, will they be backing off after this one? They have a full wave of bar end up minions with still 4 members dead.
Everyone's coming up just now anyway.
Yeah, it is safe. Like, this is their game to lose.
Yes.
And anything you do to give the team the potential to come back from, they're in such a position they don't want to do that. This means everything to this team. It's everything they've been fighting for in this Challenger Series. On the cusp, in reach of them to achieve. They're not going to let greed overcome them.
Exactly. Calm, collected. You never want to do any needlessly aggressive plays at this stage in a game. You want to close it out as easily as possible. Just picture perfect. Take top lane now that you've got mid and bottom. Do all the rotations. They just got the Dragon afterwards. There's no Baron for them to take. The only thing left for them to do, place wards, go top.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like the mid inhibitor has respawned right about now. So the top lane or the mid lane are going to be very open for this team.
Very much so. The mid inhibitor being up now, yeah, it's going to be the next plane of attack. In fact, not the top lane. Top lane's going to push, though.
Yeah, look at that wave.
Yeah, it's a big amount of red dots sitting in the top lane. I think it'll push itself. If they manage to get the mid inhibitor, at least bully them around for long enough, it'll be such a big wave that it'll end up taking the tower by itself. And you can see Corky's going to go up there and... No, never mind. They're going to come mid.
Oh, but I think these two have been caught with their pants down because Points and Juve just way too aggressive, so far up. Not going down without a fight, though, but unfortunately, Points and Juve just... Oh, I don't know what they were doing there. We said that they weren't going to take any risks, no over-aggression, and just like that, they do exactly that. What were they doing there? They were in the position to finish the game. They had everything they could possibly want. They wanted more.
They were looking to get an extra couple, like, ward coverage around the top area near the blue buff. They didn't have their 2 carries with them.
Yeah.
And then they just got caught completely out of position. Amazing initiation, a good decision, having the Sivir to back it up with a Righteous Glory and push through there. And now there's going to be no way for them to contest a free inhibitor in response.
The game is back in play right now. That was just showing that even this far ahead, you can still make mistakes. You can still potentially throw a game. That was just unnecessary aggression, as we've stated many times when looking at Sin Gaming.
Yes.
So yeah, really good for Fortnite to be able to recognize the fight. They saw, it's not like, oh, the team's going to be behind and they're like, if we don't go for this, we're just going to lose anyway. Like, we have to go for a play.
And they saw the perfect time to do so.
Definitely.
2 people completely out of position. Thresh Lantern not even enough to save Juves there. Such smart play. You can tell that they're experienced. Fortnite know what they're doing and not in the best of positions with the inhibitor down. The second one going down as we speak.
Yeah, so Sin right back into the faces of Fortnite. Super Minions just going to be clashing against each other in that mid lane. The bottom lane will be pushing. It looks like they are going to take this a little bit more textbook and go to that top lane and just push it up. Go for the 3 inhibitors. Go for the safe win because they just got a taste of what of that gut-wrenching feeling of a win, basically a one game looking like it's but the hook comes out and the flash really edgy right here. He's on edge. He doesn't want to lose this game after he's seen the potential of a comeback, so he's going to try everything in his power not to die. I believe there was a hook and body slam, so he didn't have it up, so the flash, not unwarranted.
No, definitely feels, as you said, on edge. He does need to use the spells to at least avoid being chunked down. They need to defend this tower. They do have the Janna.
Shield down.
They're going to be able to shield it and at least delay the inevitable, but...
There goes a Nexus turret.
Exactly.
They have to have Zed there to defend it. This is going to... If this isn't Sin's time to engage, I don't know when will be. And look at the mid lane, though. Not the pressure they've hoped for.
No, it's an inhibitor to an inhibitor, so there is no pressure in the mid. The entirety of the pressure is going to be coming from that bot lane. And mind you, there is a lot of pressure. It's taken a turret. CNJ's on point with the spell shield, thankfully.
I haven't seen any ones that he's had available not being able to connect. So luckily for him, he's been able to stay alive. But the Baron up in 15 seconds, and the inhibitor open in the bottom lane. Super minions pushing the mid lane. Let's hope Sin don't do a repeat of the last team fight. They are staying as 5 now.
Yeah, here's the thing though. Fortnite, they're not going to walk towards the Baron pit. They know that they have no control when it comes to vision. They know the Baron's up now. Yeah,
they're forcing them out really well. They're not going to have enough time to finish that Baron. But here comes a Sivir ult. Is this an all or nothing play? Looks like the recalls have been cancelled from Sin. They want to clamp them in here. It looks like they're in the wrong base. Thresh with a flash play. Not getting the target that he wants because Annie always going to be the focus. Corki just blowing her up with the Phosphorus Bomber. Hook after the explosive cast coming through. Another great flay on top of Naya. It looks like he will be getting taken down. No, the belly flop coming out. Going to be keeping him alive for just a little bit longer. But Moya getting jumped on by Maokai. Looks like, Stealth X with the dash into the flash right on top of Sivir there. This could be it. This could very well be game. But, maybe not. No, maybe not, because the inhibitor in the bot lane has respawned.
They don't have the minions to back them up either at this stage. Gragas is going to clear the ones in the bottom. And you're right, the inhibitor is up. So at the very least, they should be able to get the bottom inhibitor.
Yeah.
And then maybe recall and rotate to Baron, because there's still 40 seconds left.
The hook narrowly missing. Only
close.
One inhibitor turret down. Still 11 seconds on Annie, 30 on the other two members. Looks like Gragas trying to just run point guard here. He's going to be scaring off 4 members. Not even... did they get the inhibitor?
They did get the inhibitor.
Yes, they did get the inhibitor. I was focused more on the Zaldo dodging the hooks on that one. But yeah, the bottom inhibitor down again. Now, despite the goal difference, it's a close game.
Well, the goal difference starts to mean less and less the later the game goes, of course. The goal difference can be 27,000 if they're all at 80,000 gold. You know, like, they're all going to have the big items that they require. Now, that was an interesting decision from Fortnite. They committed themselves to at least pushing in that base, and they knew that they were going to push Sin away from the Baron. If Sin went for that Baron, they were ending the game.
But that's the thing here. They try and die in the enemy base so they're as far away from their Nexus as they possibly can be. So even if they lose the team fight, they'll have enough time to respawn and recuperate for another fight. But as I say that, the Baron has been started by Sin. All 5 members just doing as much damage as they can to it. Sivir not in any position. It's on 6k health, 4k health. Zed might want to try and come over and do anything here. Looks like 1k health, and it gets smited away by Jubes. Sivir on the side doing a lot of damage, but gets jumped on immediately. CNJ not getting hooked. Zaldo taking that one for him. The Monsoon doing so much to disengage. Corki has killed Zed. Zed has killed Orgon. Corki has killed Sivir. Maokai kills Janna. And looks like, again, Gragas not being able to get away this time, though.
Corki just got 3 auto attack kills with them dashing away as he did the auto. Corki just did so much work in that fight. Zed, in fact, ulting the Maokai. Small mechanical error there coming out. Rymeister the only one to go down, and they've now got 40 seconds on 4 members with only the Annie available. It's very likely that they're about to end this game.
Can you believe it, Rusty? We're seeing a new addition into the OPL. Team Sin have beaten Fortnite in a convincing 3-1 fashion as a Nexus falls, and that will be it.
Congratulations to Sin Gaming.
Can't praise them enough for using their aggression so well in every single game, being able to match aggression, match rotations, map control. The Annie not having teleport, they were able to play that to their advantage seemingly the entire game.
Yeah, the Annie did not have much impact in this game whatsoever. There was glimmers of hope and just didn't do enough.
All right, so we're going to be jumping on board with a replay very quick.
Right, so this is 28 minutes into the game. This is one of the big fights that goes so well for Sin, I believe. So we'll just roll the clip. You can see Flash Tibbers is actually where they catch Rymeister out of position, and it looks so good for Fortnite right there. They got what they needed, but they had no engage after that. Stealthix is the unsung hero right now, doing absurd amounts of damage in the background. CNJ caught in a bad position trying to trade with him, and Juice for tanks, they do a lot of damage as they actually pick up Zelda here as well. And this was one of the fights that you thought was going to go well for them. Definitely didn't.
Yeah, every time I look at Ju, his hook has an enemy attached to it because he was just not missing these crucial hooks.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
It really helped the Corki just get off that nice phosphorus bomb and the Gatling gun just shredding through the armor with Ergon on top of that also doing the same. Yeah. So really nice team fighting, really nice map control, and a great series out of Sin.
Yeah, massive series for Sin. Puts them into the OPL 3-1. Congratulations to Sin Gaming.
Yeah, can't praise them enough. And that's it for us today. Thank you. I'm Max Rogie for Foglia, and this is Zach Rusty Pie signing off.